Let's hear it for our finalists in the Pokemon Video Game Seniors Finals. I am so thrilled to introduce you to these two. Put your hands together for Enzo Recchi and Alfredo Cheng Gonzalez. Are you ready to give us a good match, guys? I think you are. Go ahead and take your seats and let's get right into this game.
All right, two players that are no strangers to this big stage tournament. Enzo Recchi, of course, versus Alfredo Cheng Gonzalez. This is actually not their first time competing against each other.
Not this year. They've already met in Latin America. You'll definitely recognize these players if you've been watching the competitive circuit for a while, of course. This time last year in Indianapolis. Familiar face.
Alfredo Cheng Gonzalez was
he was part of that pretty brutal Australian sweep in the video game. I don't know if you've put it out of your memory, Dwee, but I know the US didn't have such a good performance that weekend, and another Commonwealth nation took it there. But of course, if he wants to repeat that, he's going up against one of America's finest players in the senior division in Enzo.
Enzo, of course, 2 years ago here in Columbus, Ohio, at the 2016 National Championships, was actually the champion in the juniors division. And you can see his list of accomplishments here. You know, the 2018 International Championships, he had top 8 finishes in Latin America and in Europe, made it to the top 4 at the World Championships in 2016. He's piloting that team of Nihilego, Charizard, Pheromosa, Tapu Lele, Smeargle, and Kartana. Very hyper-offensive team, but over on the other side, he does have a very strong player, and one of my most fond memories of last year was definitely the interview that Alfredo Cheng Gonzalez gave after he had won the International Championship, and he here showcasing his accomplishments, the Latin American International top 4 finish, another top 4 finish at the Oceania International Championships, and you know, in 2017 he had the Oceania International top 8, piloting the team of Tapu Koko, Cresselia, Metagross, Incineroar, Landorus, and Gastrodon.
Yeah, I love that we've come around full circle to have a 2016 winner, a 2017 winner join up in the finals here in 2018. Just really nice to see these players consistently putting in performances. Just over the course of the year, they don't seem to fall short that often. They're always in a top cut. May not always be a victory, but it's always a top-tier performance for both these players.
Yeah, so Enzo definitely trying to get revenge after Alfredo Cheng Gonzalez knocked him out of the Latin American International Championships. Now jumping into team preview right off the bat, you know, we've already mentioned before that Enzo's team is very hyper-offensive.
Yeah, well, Enzo's team really, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. It's the quickest team out there, really. Everything on that team looks so fast, particularly when you look over to Alfredo's side of the field. Definitely some more slower Pokemon, some more tactical Pokemon, the Gastrodon, the Incineroar, the Cresselia. Those are kind of options that we've not seen on Enzo's side. He's there to deal damage with Pokemon that are known predominantly for nothing but offense. Pheromosa, Charizards, Kartanas, those rarely provide a support role, so it's all going to be up to the Smeargle for any kind of support. But if you're going to have to bring everything on one Pokemon, why not bring it on the one that can learn absolutely anything?
Yeah, you know, Spore is going to be great support right there, but it is going to have to watch out for Alfredo's Tapu Koko with that Electric Train, going to be able to prevent Pokemon from being asleep if they are grounded. And, you know, this is kind of a combo that's interesting to me. You know, a lot of players are opting for this Tapu Koko Cresselia core, in which the Electric Seed actually activates on the Cresselia and boosts its defenses to try to keep it out on the field as long as possible.
Yeah, and that's something that I think is going to be quite important as the game plays out, because as you look down Alfredo's team, something we talked about a little bit, and I know some of the Masters Division players talk about, is how many ground resists do you have? Know if this Landorus wants to consistently fire off Earthquakes, 3 of the Pokemon on Alfredo's team aren't going to appreciate that in the slightest. Gastrodon's not going to be a huge fan either, but you're going to want Cresselia on the field as much as possible to open up that option to hit the Earthquake on Pokemon such as Nihilego.
And here we go now, jumping into the leads. It looks like Alfredo is going to lead with Incineroar and Tapu Koko. Enzo on the other side leading with Smeargle and Kartana.
Well, this turn could be one of those that comes down to the predictions. We could have a fairly dull turn where they just exchange fake-outs on the non-fake-out potential Pokemon on their opponent's side of the field, or one of them could try make a play, catch their opponent off guard, land a fake-out before the other one does, and then weave in a really big attack here. As you mentioned in team preview though, you know, once this fake-outs come in from this Smeargle, they're usually carrying Spore. They don't have access to Dark Void anymore, so its support options do change a little bit in that regard.
Smeargle using Fake Out on that Incineroar, going to make sure that it won't be able to move as Tapu Koko on Alfredo's side. Uses Volt Switch, going to break that Focus Sash on that Smeargle, which they are so commonly carrying these days, allowing Alfredo to be able to adjust to the Smeargle and Kartana leads.
Yeah, I really like the switch out from this Tapu Koko here, knowing that he needs to try and save that for later. And really smart to try and get as much damage down on Smeargle, clear away the threat of the Spore, so even if you don't manage to get the Electric Train set up second time, you don't have to worry about your Pokemon being asleep for an extended time.
Metagross is going to take the field, has a pretty decent matchup versus that Kartana as it sets up its Tailwind here, going to give Enzo's team a quick speed boost for 3 more full turns after this one, as Smeargle's Moody is going to activate, going to boost its defense sharply, but it's already taking so much damage, the attack drop is not going to matter at all.
Yeah, that's actually a fairly neutral Moody boost there on the Smeargle, so defense going up probably isn't going to matter when you're on at 36 hit points. But I mean, an interesting switch in there from Alfredo, clearly expecting the combination of Fake Out and some kind of offense from the Kartana, but we see Enzo reveal the Tailwind. That's going to mean this Smeargle does have an option to get a support move off. It's going to be limited, no spores. Both Pokemon on Alfredo's side of the field grounded in Metagross and Incineroar. But now this Kartana is going to be guaranteed to move first and be able to get some big damage down before it potentially just catches a Flare Blitz. We don't see any switches this turn.
Mega Metagross is going to take that field, going to sacrifice that Clear Body ability for the Tough Claws ability that makes it do so much damage, as Smeargle opts for the Follow Me, going to redirect all single target attacks from Alfredo's side. Looks like Kartana uses the Sacred Sword, hits that Incineroar, super effective damage, but Incineroar hangs on with about 40% of its hit points remaining, as Alfredo uses Metagross to KO that Smeargle. So the first KO on the board for Alfredo. Incineroar going to follow with a Flare Blitz here. It is going to target down that Kartana, and well, Kartana does not enjoy that at all in the easy one-hit KO.
Yeah, 2 knockouts in 1 turn there for Alfredo. Really, really good turn for him there, you know, managed to avoid a couple of threats. Even better for him, the recoil from his Flare Blitz on that clean one-hit knockout activates the Margot Berry, and he's going to be looking pretty healthy now. Overall, he's only taken about 25% on this Incineroar, and he's got a 2 Pokemon advantage.
Nihilego is going to take the field here. It can do some good damage over onto that Incineroar with a powerful Power Gem, and Charizard here is going to take the field as well, also having a decent matchup versus this Metagross.
Yeah, this momentum swing could get really big for Enzo in this one. Purely because he's got the Tailwind set up, he doesn't have to worry about moving, you know, a little bit later in this turn. Charizard could just Mega Evolve, start dealing huge damage to this Metagross, and as you said, Nihilego, good number of options to try cleaning up against this Incineroar. I think if you could get both Pokemon knocked out with this combination, would be a huge turn for Enzo. The question is he going to have to stretch and use an Overheat onto the Metagross to guarantee the knockout?
Incineroar is switching out here. Alfredo is going to send in that Cresselia. It is going to activate an Electric Seed here to boost its defense by 1 stage, just trying to keep it out on the field as much as possible, but that boost is not going to matter against these 2 well-known special attackers, as Mega Charizard Y is going to take the field, activating that Drought. Going to go ahead and boost its Fire-type attacks as well here.
Yeah, it's going to have to be careful, though. You don't want to be caught when it's just your last 2 overheating, because while you may be able to get 1 knockout, you're not able to get follow-up knockouts so easily after the drop to your special attack.
Nihilego uses Power Gem on that Cresselia, as Charizard uses Heat Wave spread damage right now. Going to hit both Cresselia and that Metagross. Easy one-hit KO on that Metagross. Cresselia hangs on with about 25% of its hit points remaining, but it's already taken so much damage that it might not be able to try to set up anymore.
Yeah, once it's gone down, it's going to be a bit of a problem, but I do like that the Cresselia switch in preserves the option of Incineroar. I think knowing about the Power Gem is so important, because then he gets to bring in Incineroar later and try and stop this Nihilego for a turn. I think really importantly now, Alfredo's going to need to find a way to stall out this Tailwind and then get back to a slower pace of play, especially with this Tapu Koko in, that will be able to do great damage to this Charizard, you know, at least attack before the Nihilego. So even if you can't easily get the knockout, you can try and get some damage down on it there. The Cresselia would be really nice to attack this Nihilego, but it's in no position right now to try and do that with the Tailwind in play.
Yep, Tapu Koko now going to protect itself here, going to stall out this last turn of Tailwind, allowing Tapu Koko to outspeed both Nihilego and Charizard later on. Nihilego going to hit into that Protect with a Sludge Bomb, as Charizard follows up with a Heat Wave here. It connects on that Cresselia, and that is the KO on Cresselia.
Yep, Cresselia gone, and like I said, capitalizing on this Tailwind, the momentum's all been in Enzo's favor for the past 2 or 3 turns. Every turn he's had Tailwind up, he's just been able to push on and keep going like that. His Charizard is not really stopped from just Heat Waving at this point, which, when it's one of your last 2, is what you need. And this Incineroar going to be in an interesting position. It's only got one opportunity to fake out. There's no protects used in the last turn for Enzo here, so he could just double protect, buy some time throughout the fake out, and then make the turn a little bit harder, I think, for Alfredo without that kind of support in play. The Intimidate, not too valuable either. Like you said, a number of things on his team. Intimidate, the Electric Seed, are all there to stop physical attackers, but when you just keep your 2 special attackers in the back, it's really hard to slow them down.
Nihiligo is going to use Protect here, going to try to prevent getting hit with an unnecessary fake out. Charizard also follows suit. Double Protect, just making sure that the fake out's not going to land and Enzo won't lose a Pokemon right here, as Incineroar does follow up with a fake out into that Charizard slot. As Tapu Koko is going to go ahead and activate a Z move here. It is going to be a Gigavolt Havoc. So either of these Pokemon are not going to be able to fully protect themselves, but it's still going to most likely prevent the KO.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting turns where if you know Double Protect is going to come through because of the threat of Fake Out, why not try and get some damage down, especially on both these Pokemon that aren't always the easiest to take out, with Electric Terrain running out of time as well. The attack does go towards the Nihiligo and bring it surprisingly low through that Protect.
Yeah, and you know, Nihiligos are known to be very specially bulky, maybe hinting at something about this Tapu Koko over on Alfredo's side over here, as it took way more damage than anybody would have expected.
Especially through the Protect. I mean, it would have been the most comfortable knockout of all time, but he needed to do it on that turn. The Electric Terrain was going to be running out. It was going to be the last
turn. It is a wild charge.
Here's the confirmation.
Hits that Nihiligo and gets the KO right there, hitting that Nihiligo from its weaker physical defense stat. Wow, what a that's an interesting Tapu Koko for sure. Charizard now using Heat Wave, hits both Incineroar and Tapu Koko, gets the KO on that Tapu Koko. So now this Incineroar needs a way to be able to KO this Charizard. Gonna use Knockoff, its best option, gonna hit into Charizard for about 40% damage right there.
Yeah, the big thing here though is the Incineroar's already consumed its berry, and that Charizard being able to capitalize so well on that Sun that's bought with its own ability. I think the interesting here from Alfredo would be how he played this one. The Heat Wave misses, and it's going to be a fight back as the sunlight fades.
And that is actually great news for Alfredo right there, because these Heat Waves or any other powerful fire type attack, if Charizard has it, won't.
Oh, he's going for it.
Here comes the Overheat. How much is it going to do outside of the sun to this Incineroar? Incineroar hangs on with 25% and should be able to get the KO here with a knockoff.
That Heat Wave miss is huge for this game, and Alfredo manages to come through and clutch out game 1 against Enzo. Really good end game there for both these players, but that one miss, absolutely crucial. That extra damage would have been just what he needed, and that's why you can't always rely on Heat Wave.
Yeah, interesting that Enzo actually decided to opt for the Heat Wave first instead of going straight up for the Overheat in the sun, because if it was boosted in the sun, that would have been a KO.
Yeah, he would have made it all the way there, and that last turn where he needed to hit those attacks just didn't pull the trigger at the right time. So Alfredo does manage to come back. He had a great start to the game, a pretty rough middle, but at the end, he saw what he needed to do, weaving in that damage, targeting the right things down. You know, he knew that Tapu Koko was going to go down in that turn if he didn't deal with Nihiligo. So he let it go down to Charizard. Then he knew that Charizard, against his Incineroar would actually be able to come back and do it, because it wasn't going to take big damage from any of Charizard's offense.
Also, you know, Alfredo, instead of going for those Flare Blitzes, which in the sun, even though Charizard resists it, it does actually do more damage, I believe, because of the sun boost, but at the cost of taking a recoil. So, you know, Alfredo was smart right there to not try to put himself in range of the Heat Wave or the Overheat KO.
Yeah, just letting himself work slowly through it with a knockoff. Yes, it's not getting the boost because you can't knock off the Mega Crystals, but, you know, he had to make sure he was hitting attacks consistently and doing solid damage across the board. I do wonder if he's going to try and play that one a little bit differently, maybe get a little more value out of the Tapu Koko, but we're going to see the same lead from both sides.
Yep, Tapu Koko and Incineroar for Alfredo, as Kartana and Smeargle for Enzo here. So the exact same leads from both sides. Probably going to try to set up that tailwind, which is going to be important to be able to outspeed that Tapu Koko.
Yeah, and you're going to have to wonder, you know, is there going to be any way for Alfredo to try and deal with that tailwind? It was so important in game 1. Those turns where tailwind was active were the turns where Enzo was consistently knocking things out or forcing Alfredo to play a certain way. If he has an answer to that, that could be really interesting to see it. Yeah, he managed to get a big knockout with the Flare Blitz, but it looks like we're going to be off to a very similar start, if not slightly different.
Smeargle actually goes for the fake out into that Tapu Koko slot instead, as Kartana sets up that tailwind, and Incineroar just going to go straight into a Flare Blitz right now. It is going to hit that Kartana, and again, that is an easy one-hit KO from that Incineroar. So, you know, now this is actually better position for Enzo because he can easily pivot in another Pokemon to take advantage of this Tailwind, and it looks like it's going to be an accuracy rise right there as an attack drop happens with Moody. Not exactly necessary.
No, I don't think the current juncture, the accuracy drop is going to be important. We do know back in the past when Dark Void was available on Smeargle, then you needed the accuracy boost, but now it's really not so important. The big thing here, I think, is he's got Smeargle to help support this Charizard. We saw what great work the Charizard did in previous games. The Tailwind's up, so it doesn't have to worry about being caught by the Tapu Koko. We know it can comfortably knock out the Tapu Koko in the sun. That's not a problem, so Mega Evolution into just some attacks would be great. Then the Incineroar, you know, we saw how slowly the Incineroar was dealing with that Charizard, and it's going to be even harder to do that when the Smeargle is on the field to potentially pull an attack away with a Follow Me.
Cresselia is going to take the field here. It is going to activate that Electric Seed, going to boost its defense, but, you know, Charizard Y is the special attacker. It can actually be out here just chipping away so much damage with that Overbeat.
It becomes even more than chip damage. When you've got the sun up from this Mega Evolution, even Cresselia is taking huge amounts of damage.
Yep, and here comes Drought. That will also boost Incineroar's Flare Blitz here as Smeargle using this turn to redirect attacks with Follow Me right now. And Charizard opting to just go for a simple Heat Wave here. Gonna get some damage out on both sides of the field. Cresselia taking about 40% right there, bringing Incineroar down to under 50 as the knockoff lands on that Smeargle. Breaks, well, it actually breaks that Focus Sash as it hangs on. So here comes another Moody boost. It is a Speed Rise. It already is functioning in the Tailwind, so that's not going to matter at all either.
Yeah, but I mean, if there is some crazy situation where, you know, he switches Smeargle out, wants to bring it, you know, it wouldn't really be too helpful. It's now down on the Focus Sash. I think something to get around this Smeargle needed to be done earlier. That's the big thing here. Smeargle is going to be able to take advantage, though, of the fact Cresselia is a levitating Pokemon.
Yep, it is going to put it to sleep with the Spore, and, well, Cresselia is not really doing that much. Ooh, a double avoid right there as Cresselia takes its first turn of sleep. Here comes Incineroar's chance to go for an attack. Just going to go for a U-turn. Just going to go ahead and KO that Smeargle and allow Alfredo to switch. So an unfortunate miss right there if you're Enzo.
Yeah, these Heat Waves have not been kind to Enzo at all in this game. A double miss there, absolutely huge. That means Incineroar actually leaves with a good amount of health. Getting the knockout on Smeargle, Enzo already down to his last 2 here, and he's managed to get out and preserve the fake out for later. If, you know, he can find an opportunity later in the game to put the pressure on with fake out, could end up in a very similar situation. I'd be curious to see if Enzo has bought exactly the same selection of Pokemon, and Alfredo is still keeping 1 Pokemon hidden from us. We are going to find out what Enzo's 4th is right now, though.
Yep, Tapu Koko takes the field. Pheromosa is a Pokemon that is very fast and very threatening. It is one of the fastest Pokemon in VGC 2018, so this is an adjustment that Enzo has made, and we'll have to just see how this Pheromosa deals here. Tapu Koko can easily just protect and stall out this Tailwind, but Pheromosa will be outspeeding it afterwards anyways.
Yeah, I think it's one of the fastest Pokemon ever, to be honest. I mean, not just in this year, but its coverage options are always good enough to try and get some big damage down. This Tapu Koko is forced to play it safe, and I wonder if he's got anything to hit this Cresselia super effectively.
Ooh, actually goes for a Throat Chop on that Cresselia. Going to prevent it from using, I believe, sound-based moves such as Roar or Hyper Voice, but those are not exactly moves that Cresselia are known to be using. And Cresselia actually hangs on with just a sliver of health as it continues to stay asleep through that massive amount of attacks that were just targeting it down.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to matter, though. I think Cresselia is going to fall pretty easily in the next turn. Even to a Heat Wave would do it. And now we've seen the Tapu Koko protect. Pheromosa can redirect its attentions over there. Fantastic call by Enzo to establish that Tapu Koko was going to protect, so he could really start whittling down this Cresselia even more effectively.
Cresselia now switches out. Incineroar is going to take the field. That Intimidate is going to be big because Pheromosa does have access to Poison Jab as a way to deal with the Alolan Guardians here. So that is going to be a big Intimidate, hopefully allowing this Tapu Koko on Alfredo's side to survive is what Incineroar's going for here. Poison Jab connects on that Tapu Koko, doing about 60% damage right there. Does get some poison, so it will residually chip, but it looks like Tapu Koko is going to be able to use that Gigavolt Havoc right here to deal some massive damage.
Yeah, it's going to be really big that it can get rid of this Charizard before it follows up with the Heat Wave, before it gets that extra knockout, because next turn, you know, you've got the pressure of Incineroar. This Incineroar is going to be very difficult to take out. Doesn't really matter, I think, which side of the offensive spectrum it does decide to attack from. This Charizard isn't going to appreciate, especially with the electric terrain up, and it's easily removed from play by Alfredo Chan Gonzalez.
Yeah, so Alfredo has been able to utilize his Z move very well, being able to do massive damage to that Nihilego in game 1, and here just straight up picking up the KO on that Mega Charizard Y. So now Pheromosa out on Enzo's side. Last Pokemon standing versus Tapu Koko, Incineroar, and a sleeping Cresselia, and a Pokemon that we actually haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to show it at this juncture. The Tapu Koko is going to be in a position to just try and start dealing damage. I mean, it is going to be moving after Incineroar, after Pheromosa, my apologies. But, you know, Pheromosa is going to be able to tidy up one of these. Yes, it has the opportunity to tidy up this Tapu Koko, but it's only got single target attacks. Alfredo, you know, is just able to wait its turn, and he'll land attacks on it sometime. It's not the most bulky of Pokemon. If you're stuck with one Pokemon left on the field, you need it to be bulky and able to fight back. Pheromosa is not that Pokemon.
And we've already seen the Focus Sash revealed on the Smeargle. Incineroar right now going to switch out. Cresselia is going to take the field here, so no matter what happens with this Pheromosa, it is going to be activating its Z move of its own. It's going to be an all-out pummeling from this Pheromosa, but Alfredo right now really just trying to position himself where he can get two Pokemon that he knows out on the field at the same time that are actually able to do moving.
Yeah, I don't think that's too big a problem. I think there's maybe Enzo just showing off a little bit of the tech that he bought on this Pheromosa. All-out pummeling into Cresselia. I think it will get enough there, the 1 or 2 hit points required for the knockout, but not the most super effective move. Not something you'd want to make earlier in the game. The big play there, just showing off why this Pheromosa made it all the way to the finals. It does get a Beast Boost, but I don't think it's going to be afforded the opportunity to do it.
And here comes the Volt Switch from that Tapu Koko. Pheromosa hangs on, but most importantly, Tapu Koko will also preserve itself from getting KO'd from that chip poison damage at the end of the turn, but Incineroar is going to take the field. Tapu Koko can also take the field as well, or whatever Alfredo has in the back to seal this game up.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be important to see exactly what it is. The Incineroar was the initial target of the potential all-out pummeling there, so getting rid of that would have been really interesting. But I mean, this turn, Pheromosa is going to have to protect again, otherwise it's going to be caught by Fake Out. We do see the Tapu Koko immediately come back into play. The poison isn't a toxic poison, so it's not the most dangerous through protects and such. But the electric terrain is back, so any attack is going to be more than enough. Pheromosa needs to find a magical way to hit both of these for the knockout.
Well, Tapu Koko can actually get KO'd here from the Protect, but again, there's one more Pokemon in the back for Alfredo's side, so Alfredo now just has to find a way to get that Pokemon in, which could easily just come at the end of this turn here as Tapu Koko hits into that Protect and takes some more poison damage. Tapu Koko does hang on with just a sliver of hit points right there, so yep. Alfredo might not even have to reveal what that last Pokemon is.
Yeah, the bar was just a little bit too thick for the standard poison damage to wear all the way through it. It is going to be the last hurrah. Pheromosa going through the high jump kick will connect with Incineroar.
On that Incineroar, but Tapu Koko can easily just follow up, and it looks like Alfredo Chan Gonzalez will be able to secure a repeat here at the North American International Championships. Here's a wild charge, hits that Pheromosa, and that does it. Alfredo Chan Gonzalez, congratulations. You are the 2017 and the 2018 North American International Champion.
Yeah, but he does not care that it's in a different city. He will turn up, and he was representing Australia so well. You know, he was the middle one last year between the two Khan brothers, but this year he's come back, made it all the way. We see the flag of the kangaroo. I don't think that's the official flag, but it seems to do the job.
Yeah, well played.